Welcome back to the Jesse Rucinski show. I'm riding solo today, as you can tell. And we're taking a break from a lot of the stuff we talked about when I was with Chuck and that we've been hitting on. I mean, there's still going to be some of that, and there were certain topics that I do today, but today, after all, new likes and watches and listens and everything that I got from the shows recently, which I greatly appreciate and hope you guys keep it up. Like we've been talking about a lot. I mean, there's some of the stuff that keeps running back to it. And that goes, you just can't help yourself because of all this stuff. But like today, I'm going to go on to something that I got sent this morning from Chuck, or Walter, whatever you want to call him, which is Senator Rick Scott of Florida, and he's former governor of Florida. But it is an 11-point plan to rescue America. What Americans must do to save this country, which, again, I heard about. I never actually, got my hands on it to look at yet. And so I'm very thankful, for Chuck for sending it over without me having to say anything, just from us talking about it. But it's something that, makes a lot of sense. And there's a lot of good points in there. There's a lot of stuff that I have mentioned before. Actual education, patriotism, getting the economy actually going and running properly, and people back on the side of police and actually holding criminals accountable for their stupid action. Doing something about the broke problems, doing something about the border. Like there's all kinds of things to be done to make everything work out so much better. This is going to be a two-parter because this thing's long, and I don't think everyone wants to sit around and listen to me for well over an hour at a time. We already did a bunch of those. It's fun when there's someone else here, but breaking my voice up, so it's not like well over an hour straight of it, I think is better for everyone involved. But he did come up with a great plan. Again, he was a governor of Florida. I only got remember some things that he did. Most stuff I remember is all natural disaster, like hurricane stuff that happened. And he was giving all those briefings and everything that they did there. And they get hammered with a lot of hurricanes. So that was really the big thing that I saw him mostly for. The political world was different back when he was doing that. But I've always thought he was, a good leader. He seemed to have some good ideas. He's crazy to go from being governor to senator. I mean, look, he left to be the senator, and now we got, they have Governor DeSantis down there, which I guess worked out pretty good for Florida. Anyone that tries to say it didn't work out good for Florida is crazy. And I love how, even with the volume turned off on my iPad, which is what I'm going to read his plan from, somehow no sound to be made at all. And the thing still rang out loud. I think that's my luck. That's kind of, humorous, maybe is the proper word for it. I mean, probably more humorous for you people than it is for me, sitting there going, really? But he did. He had a lot of good ideas. He's crazy for wanting to go from being governor to go up to DC and have to deal with all of that stuff. I mean, that's someone that really wants to be part of leadership and stuff. And he came out again, really good plan. So I'm going to get through. It's going to be a two-parter, and part one today. I will save the second half of it for Friday to go over that, just so everyone knows what's going on. So set all your reminders or whatever app you're on. Make sure you're paying attention, because no matter what, hell or high water, I'm doing part two on Friday. And so let's get to it. After we get through all of that, but there's some quotes from Americans deserve to know what we will do when given the chance to govern, which, is a good one. And here's a letter from him. Dear fellow Americans, the militant left now controls the entire federal government, the news media, academia, Hollywood, and most corporate boardrooms, but they want more. They are redefining America and silencing their opponents. Among the things they plan to change or destroy are American history, patriotism, border security, the nuclear family, gender, traditional morality, capitalism, fiscal responsibility, opportunity, rugged individualism, Judeo-Christian values, dissent, free speech, colorblindness, law enforcement, religious liberty, parent involvement in public schools, and private ownership of firearms. Is this the beginning of the end of America? Only if we allow it to be. The Biden administration's unprecedented combination of radical left-wing policies and gross incompetence is bringing great harm to the American people. Roaring inflation, the dangerous mismanagement of our border, the disastrous escalation of spending and debt, the shamefully inept withdrawal from Afghanistan, the use of public schools for left wing indoctrination, and the incredible lawlessness on our streets. Americans are angry, and rightfully so. As a result, the American people are very likely to put Republicans in control of the Senate and House in 2022. But then what? If Republicans return to Washington's business as usual, if we have no bigger plan than to be a speed bump on the road to America's collapse, we don't deserve to govern. We must resolve to aim higher than the Republican Congress that came before us. Americans deserve to know what we will do. Our nation's future can be bright, and this is my plan to make it so. Now, it needs your ideas. With your guidance and advice, we will work every day to make this plan better. I'll warn you, this plan is not for the faint of heart. It will be ridiculed by the woke left, mocked by Washington insiders, and strike fear in the heart of some Republicans. At least I hope so. It's a start. Sign, Rick Scott. And there's another good quote: great nations don't automatically last forever, which is true. But I'm just going to break down, some of it here as we go along. It's very obvious. I mean, they run everything right now. We know how the mainstream media and the media is. We see all the, major schools, whether it's, the Harvard's, Yale's, like all these places are extreme, liberal. Hollywood, we see how they treat people and how people on the right get, just how they get treated. Corporate boardrooms, we see the way that they've just, catered and bent the knee to China and BLM during the riots and all that. So that's true. History with the 1619 Project, patriotism, border security, we've seen that. Nuclear family, we've seen that. Gender, seen it. Traditional morality, seen it. Capitalism, we see what they're trying to go. They could say whatever they want. Social spending, socialism. It's socialism. Fiscal responsibility, obviously, with how much they're spending. Opportunity, rugged individualism, Judeo-Christian values. They've been doing that since Obama, when they took God out of national, out of schools and all that. And you can just skip over it and let everyone say, does not say the God part of the pledge in schools, but they got rid of that. And President Biden was the first one to not mention God in the national prayer, the proclamation for the day, which is just amazing. But dissent, obviously, free speech, color blindness, which is why they have all this stuff, like telling us why we're all different, and this, that, and the other thing in race, instead of just letting people notice that they're just a different person. Law enforcement, we see how they're doing that. Parent involvement in public schools, we're seeing like all these things. So he's not bringing up anything that we haven't already seen and isn't happening. Roaring inflation, obviously, like the border, yes, again, spending and debt, Afghanistan, which again I've mentioned enough times, but it's true. Like that's why things are happening right now around the world that they are, and public schooling and how it is. Like we have seen all of that. Like just look at the way everything's been handled from the school boards and all that since COVID started. I mean, that sums up that whole entire thing right there, and all the people in schools and what, and they're fighting back finally. But he brings up a lot of good points just in this letter. And, the biggest part of it to me is like this plan is not for the faint of heart, and it will be ridiculed by, the woke left and strike fear into a lot of people, even on our side, because like it's a bold thing. But these are all things that a lot of us have been saying need to happen to put us back where we were, because we're not going to last otherwise. I mean, the rate they're going between debt, the borders, Afghanistan, the way Russia and all that going, China and all the stuff, that like it's not going to last forever. Like we all know this. Anyone with a brain can see it and knows this. And anyone that has any history, in their head and knows anything, knows how this is going to work out. Now this always works out. I'm sorry if my hands are flying today, but it's just the way it is. Like, and he again brings up a lot of points, a lot of stuff we've been talking about, a lot of stuff you probably talk about with your own people. Like, it's just the way it is. There's not much you can do about it. I mean, he's just blunt and honest and to the point. And if, when the elections come around, if we do retake everything, I mean, he's right. People really do need time to nut up or shut up, like Woody Harrelson said in Zombieland. Like it really is. Like, I hate to be that guy, but they're gonna have to get up and do it, because if they don't, it could only last a few years, and then By the time they get a chance to be able to do anything again, it could be way too late. So I do agree with that as well. Again, a lot of good points in this thing. He makes a lot of points we all hear. So here's next page. The hour is late for America. Our government has created the highest debt in human history. True. Americans are afraid to speak their minds for fear of being silenced or canceled by the woke elitists. True. Look how many people they've gone after. Former President Trump got thrown off of stuff when he was still, president. Look at them going after Joe Rogan, books, like you name it. It's true. Our children are being poisoned by false political agenda in their schools, the 1619 Project, everything, critical race theory, everything else. Inflation is a tax placed on us by politicians who waste our money. Can't deny that. Our inept withdrawal from Afghanistan dishonored the sacrifices of thousands of Americans and encouraged our enemies. I've been saying that for forever, but what do I know? Our porous southern border is a national crisis. True. Our cities are overrun by theft, violence, and a 30% increase in murder. Fact. Our government is making us less energy independent and killing jobs since day one of this administration. American warfighters are being indoctrinated with left-wing woke foolishness and kicked out of the military because of the big brother vax mandate. True. Our government is eroding our work ethic and paying people not to work. They have been. We are allowing biological males to destroy women's sports. Obviously, just look at the records. Look at the swimmer for Penn. Just out there, Leah Thomas, I think, is out there just murdering all the records by seconds and seconds and seconds. As everyone just stops, says we're not dealing with it anymore. So those male parts had all those years of testosterone to make them like it's just different. But again, our kids are taught to hate America and divide each other by skin color. True, the FBI is spying on concerned parents who speak out at school board meetings. That's been happening. We have all seen the memo. From Merrick Garland, Washington's economy is growing. America's economy is shrinking. True. Lethal drugs are pouring into our country from China and our southern border. Mostly, I put it southern border. God knows where they're coming from there. But that many people coming across without getting caught, not getting caught. The number of seized drugs is already was astronomical before we were done. Like the first month of the of the fiscal year. Just imagine where they are now. And it's going to keep, I think it's bad. It's really bad, which is why, opiate deaths hit 6 figures for the first time ever. Like, it's not good, but yet, here we are having to argue this stuff, which, again, that's one of those things I'll never understand. It'll just piss me off incessantly. But, it's true. And then we got an 11-point plan to rescue America. 1, our kids will say the Pledge of Allegiance, salute the flag, learn that America is a great country, and choose the school that best fits them. I've been to, anyone that's ever been to a lot of other countries, we're pretty damn great. But people never understand that have never left like their area they grew up in and just buy into all this idiocy. But we will inspire patriotism and stop teaching the revisionist history of the radical left. Our kids will learn about the wisdom of the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Founding Fathers. Public schools will focus on the 3 R's, not indoctrinating children with critical race theory or any other political ideology. I agree. I want to teach them the actual history like they used to teach everybody when we were actually like ranked good in the world for education too. Like, look at our rankings now. If you think this is all going well, like we are abysmal in the whole entire world. Like our education system sucks. And they keep going out of their way to make it worse. Like, it's taking away gifted classes for kids till they're in like the 11th grade just so other people don't get left out. Like, I'm sorry. If they're that smart, push them in there. Like, we shouldn't be hurting kids that excel because of kids that don't. That's called stupid, amongst other things. 1619 Project and all that, which isn't even real. Yeah, but they do it. But number 2, government will never again ask American citizens to disclose their race, ethnicity, or skin color on any given government form. I'm going to eliminate racial politics in America. No government policy will be based on race. People will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. We are all made in the image of God. To judge a person on the color of their epidermis is immoral. Made anyone with an actual brain knows that and doesn't see people that way. It only seems to be like there are racists, yes, obviously there's racists everywhere, but it's only crazy progressives that are pushing all the stuff that seem to they see race in everything, then tell us we're racist because we don't. If you're the one seeing race in everything and making everything about race. But and again, I've been yelled at by people so much. because they're just dumb. I guess they don't know any better. I don't know. But yeah, like we're not making the critical race theory where everything's about race or doing all these things. Like this is the first this is the first that, this is the first this, just making everything in these picks. Just like Kamala Harris, it's going to be a woman, black, it's going to be a woman and a person of color. Like that's why like how we got to Kamala Harris. Like our vice presidential nominee was just based on her being female and the color of her skin. And that's not how you make choices. And that really just actually in and of itself is racism. Yet here we are. I know, keep saying here we are, but here we are. The people that are pushing it are the ones that are actually doing it. But 3, the soft on crime days of coddling criminal behavior will end. We will refund and respect the police because they, not the criminals, are the good guys. Duh. We will enforce our laws, all of them, and increase penalties for theft and violent crime. We will clean up our cities and stop pretending that crime is okay. We have zero tolerance for mostly peaceful protests, with some air quotes there, that attack police officers, loot businesses, and burn down our cities. There's sadly people I know that were defending that. You're mostly peaceful. Like, were you watching the same thing I was? Like, turn off your lame stream. And like over 700 buildings and like 3 nights torched. There's nothing mostly peaceful about any of that. You don't even have to be a genius to figure that out yourself. Billions of dollars of damage don't happen for mostly peaceful anything. And all that looting and everything. Sorry. Number 4, we'll secure our border, finish building the wall, and name it after President Donald Trump. Nations have borders. True story. We should give that a try. President Trump's plan to build a wall was right. We welcome those who want to join us in building the American dream, immigrants who want to be Americans, not change America. We are a stronger nation because we are a nation of immigrants, but immigration without assimilation makes us weaker. Politicians from both parties talk big about border security and do nothing. We are done with that. I mean, that's pretty much what I've been saying for a while too. So Rick Scott's onto it there. You get the best and the brightest to come here that want to be here, that want to assimilate to be here, not just come here and we have to like assimilate to them. Like if you want to be here, like learn the language, learn to love America, love our traditions. You can still have yours, but like when we had people like, well, Sharia law, okay, like no, that's not like that is actually illegal here. What they do is illegal. So we shouldn't, and people that don't want to learn the language we should not be us conforming to them when they're coming to our country. That is what makes us so superior. Everyone come here that wants to be here, that assimilates to being here. We don't change to be where they left. It's just one of those things to me. And the wall, and that's where most of the drugs are coming into the country, across all those giant holes. Like, so we stop people from getting in, all kinds of people. Like we found people on the terror watch list, criminals, rapists, all kinds of things on there that we've caught. So what's wrong with, closing it up so they actually have to come through certain points where we can catch them all and not just giant swaths of everything. Like you really are dumb if you actually argue that it's racist to have it and that we don't need it. But we will grow America's economy, starve Washington's economy, and stop socialism. Socialism is un-American and always leads to poverty and oppression. We will stop it. We will shrink the federal government, reduce the government workforce by 25% in 5 years, sell government buildings and assets, and get rid of the old, slow, closed, top-down, government-run everything system we have today. And, I was just having a conversation actually with Hannah about this. We were walking around the outer perimeter of a memorial here in town. This submarine was getting promoted. Like the Constitution, it's down all of our inalienable rights, not rights that the government gives us. Like they are our rights. It is there to let us know, like all of our rights, and to limit the government, not for the government to like take control of everything and run everything. By the way, between healthcare, everything. It's amazing, but like that's what those are our rights, not given to us by the government. Those are ours just for being born and being here, being citizens. Like everyone remember that. Now, apparently everyone seems to forget that, but they're also idiots. So we will eliminate all federal programs that can be done locally and enact term limits for federal bureaucrats and Congress. Yeah, I agree with that. Many government agencies should be either moved out of Washington or shuttered entirely. It's incompatible. It doesn't need to be done. A lot of it is, ridiculous. And like everyone complained about Trump saying this, that, and the other thing. Like, look at the same faces have been there since the 70s and 80s. And a lot of the, especially like on the left there. I mean, look how long Joe Biden, Barry, yeah, Barry Sanders, Bernie Sanders. See, there you go. Bernie Sanders, Nancy, Chuck Schumer. I want to say the Penguin, Jerry Nadler, Maxine Waters. Like, look how long all these people have been there. Like Mitch McConnell, like again, Mitt Romney. Like, there's a lot of guys that have been there forever on both sides. Dick Durbin, the Crypt Keeper, Grassley. Like, there's people that have been there for forever, and they're the ones that are doing all the policies and doing all the spending and all of it, which is why we have debt and inflation and all these things. Yet there's no term limit on them, even though they set it up in the Constitution. You can only do 2 terms as president because all that power could be, it's a dangerous thing to give to someone for more than that. Yet these people could be in Congress and Senate for 40, 50 years at a time. That's completely okay when they're running everything. Like, I agree with that. We'll protect the integrity of American democracy and stop left-wing efforts to rig elections. I mean, like like the mass mail-in ballots, just sending them out without anyone soliciting them, that's bad. Federalizing elections, so the Fed runs it all, like, that's bad, and it's against the Constitution, so that shouldn't happen just based on that alone. Like, it shouldn't happen, they're not supposed to be federal, so states are supposed to run their own. So no, like, it's just them as another power grab trying to take care of everything. They're talking about making 16-year-olds able to vote, even though they say they're not allowed to have tobacco, alcohol, like, until they're 21 because they're not mature enough, but they could vote at 16. Yeah, it's because what you're teaching them in schools. Like, yeah, it's just, and it's just, sorry, mass mail-in balloting isn't good. No voter ID or signature verification on mail-ins and stuff isn't good. Like, they just asked me my name when I voted. Didn't have to look at my ID or anything. Name and confirm my address. Boom, done. Here you go. See you later. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that's how easy it was for me. Like, people that are mail, like, you should have to confirm it on all of them when they get in there. You still sign it. Like, you should have to do all that, no matter what. People like Drew arguing with me. What I had to do, like, I had to sign the thing. Like, yeah, okay. Mail-ins aren't verified. Like, there's a lot of places that aren't verifying anything to make sure it's not just someone, doing this on all of them. Like, all right, that's a bad thing. Voter ID. I don't know how you need an ID to buy a firearm, drive, get into some movies, even get into certain establishments, buy tobacco and alcohol products, firearms, join the military, go to a doctor, get on an airplane. Like, you need an ID to do everything. Like, why is it suddenly racist to have one to verify who you are and to have it so you can vote, even though most people need an ID just to get onto their school's campus and get inside the door? Literally, there's like elementary school kids have to deal with that. Some places, like, so what is so bad about having one for voting? Because you literally need one for anything else, to get any government assistance, to do anything. Like, so all you people that say it's illegal, you actually are, like, stupid. You're not anything else. You're stupid if you make the argument, because you need one to do everything else. Everything. So how's it racist to need it for voting? Like, I've never understood that one. Maybe someone can fill me in. Maybe there's someone that's brain is mush. Maybe if Drew actually listened to this, he could probably do it. He's one of them. He'll never listen, though. So sadly, I'll never get it from that perspective. Shucks. 8, we will protect, defend, and promote the American family at all costs. Yeah, the nuclear family is crucial to civilization. It's got, like, it's the way it's supposed to happen. They undermine parents' rights. They put in all kinds of government stuff, but really, like, and what they did for single mothers and, like, black family for welfare and stuff for all those years. But really, my big takeaway on all of this before we move on to number 9 is Denzel Washington. I know we all. Now, I don't know if you heard the interview, but you haven't, look it up, or I could try to find it for you. But the interview, when he says that, he grew up with, his friends and all that, the same thing. And then, look where he is now. And both of them are in jail. Why? Because he had, a father in his life to tell him to straighten up and stop doing that stuff when he started getting into all that trouble with them. And they didn't. Like, the nuclear family and having a father, he said, is the thing that, kept him out of being in trouble, because there was someone there, to Jethro Gibbs him in the back of the head. I know, guy. Sorry, not going to happen. And they've been devaluing that for decades. I can actually look it up in their communities, and you can't deny that, and it's not helping anything. Denzel summed it up nicely. I'm 9. Men are men, women are women, and unborn babies are babies. We believe in science. Yeah. I don't even need to get more into that. Like Kindergarten Cop, that little kid sums it up. Sorry. People that follow science try and sell us that there's 9 million, genders, and they just came up with most of them. Like, and that their science is the only science that's right, and everyone else is wrong, no matter what it is. Like, they summed up that argument for me. Number 10, Americans will be free to welcome God in all aspects of their life. And look, I say we just go back to what it was, like whether you believed in God or not, like the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, United States, which look for which it stands, one nation under God, liberty, and like how hard is it? Justice for all. Like, how hard it to just not say the God in that if you're it's not your religious thing, and let them still have their thing without completely alienating the God people in the group, just to appease the few that aren't. Like, why can't we just go back to just sitting there and letting them do their thing, not saying that part because it doesn't go anything against you want. Just don't say anything. Everyone can walk away happy. Like, but they make it so stupid, and they kind of like just everybody. Like, stop being politically correct. Stop caving. Stop being such a dick, and things can be a million times better. Like it just let them do that. Let's go back. Why? Because we're so much smarter and better off as a country, safer, like everything when we did. And we are Americans, not globalists. Yeah, and we shouldn't depend on any other country. If we learned anything from the pandemic, there, China making everything, that's enough. And then look at inflation and gas prices now because we're taking so much in from Russia and buying so much, so the price of everything goes up. Then with the Ukraine thing, it goes up. Like we should. I'm sorry, America. Yeah, superpower. We should not be depending on anyone for anything. The world should depend on us for things, not the other way around. Like I figured we would have learned that during COVID. All that PP and all that, and here they are pushing it farther. Now oil and gas and stuff's coming. Like it's just look at the situation with that and inflation and everything. Like bring it all here, make it all here, export, make us better. Like we were doing so much better then. It's not that hard. Some people seem to make it very, very hard, but it's not really that hard. Make it here because we can, and especially like the oil and gas thing, because we produce it so much cleaner than like anyone else on the planet. But to save the environment, we're going to cut down all of ours so we can have Russia and them who make it way dirtier produce more, so we could have some like German, like all of that. Like, please tell me where any of that makes sense for the people that actually say that we're trying to save the planet by killing it worse. It's like all those gas cars, like electric cars. Where do you think they're getting all of the lithium for those batteries that they then can't dispose of? Destroying the planet to do that too. But hey, what the hell do I know? Just a crazy dude. Anyway, education. Our kids will say the Pledge of Allegiance, salute the flag, learn that America is a great country, and choose the school that best fits them. We will inspire patriotism and stop teaching the revisionist history of the radical left. Our kids will learn about the wisdom of the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, founding fathers. Public schools will focus on 3 R's, not indoctrinating children with critical race theory or any political ideology. Parents, not government, will choose the best schools for their kids. School choice. I'm all for it. We will enact equal opportunity in education, school choice, so children will not be sent to a failing school simply because of their zip code, which I think will be better for everyone. Kids in public schools will say the Pledge of Allegiance, stand for the national anthem, and honor the American flag. We must honor national unity. We will open our schools to parents. Parents must have the right to know what their children are being taught, who is teaching them, and which organizations are receiving school contracts. I like that idea. The FBI, DOJ, and all government entities will be expressly forbidden from intimidating parents to dare speak their minds at school board meetings, which we have seen them do actually, like the FBI and all that. DOJ came straight from Merrick Garland. Public schools will teach our children to love America because, while not perfect, it is exceptional, it is good, and it is a beacon of freedom in an often dark world. No child will be taught they are inherently racist because of the color of their skin, and that some Americans are oppressors and others are oppressed. Teacher tenure at public schools must be eliminated because it protects inadequate teachers, not good teachers. We will not allow political or social indoctrination in our schools. Teachers who refuse to comply will need to find new jobs. No public schools will be allowed to discriminate against voluntary prayer or force children to check their faith at the door. We will close the Federal Department of Education. Education is a state function. If Congress wants to spend money on education, they can cut out the middleman and send it directly to schools and parents. I like that idea. That's a way to do it. Federal, like since federal like things got involved when everything got stupid and all that, no child left, like it's just gotten worse. Like look up our rankings in the world, and it will be America's goal to be number one in the world in math and science by 2030, because we used to be good. We did. So they went and screwed it all up, and the Fed started getting involved with everything, and look at them at school boards and everything. Like it's just the teachers unions. It really has become a sandwich. But number two, colorblind equality. We'll stop dividing people by race, skin color, ethnicity, or country of origin, which is an immoral and corrosive habit of the woke crowd. We'll be a nation where people will be judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin, which we at one point were getting to until recently when all this stupid started happening. Ban the box. Government will not ask American citizens to disclose their race, ethnicity, or skin color on any government form. I agree. It should be based on just who you are, not fill in the box so we can see what you are. No government policy can be based on race or ethnicity. Good with that. Our military will engage in zero diversity training, teaching on critical race theory, any woke ideological indoctrination that divides our troops. Our fighting force must be completely united and completely colorblind. I agree. Military leadership that prioritizes racial politics over the security of our country must be relieved of their duties. No, duh. See, I almost saved it. College and universities that favor or discriminate against students based on race or ethnicity in the application process will be ineligible for federal funding and will lose their tax-exempt status, which they should. Government will base hiring decisions on qualifications, not quotas of any kind, which they should. America will strive to provide equal opportunity for everyone, but will not guarantee equal outcomes. It's pretty much how the real world works. We simply do not give a damn what color anyone's skin is. That's the colorblind future America deserves. And we are on our way to that until, all this race baiting became really a thing in the last 13, 14 years. I mean, it really exploded. It came down really when you started not agreeing with Barack Obama, and they immediately went to, it's because he's black, isn't it? Like the race card was pulled on everything. I mean, I really don't care what anyone tries to argue with them. I got called racist more than in my life anytime, ever. More just because, which was never, just because I thought his policies were absolutely asinine and they sucked and they drove up debt and division. And the only thing they did to try to stop that was call everyone racist. Disagreed with it. Sowed more. And they went after schools, conservatives, and all kinds of stuff. But what do we know? Number three, safety and crime. We will fund the police and stop all efforts to defund or reimagine policing. Thank God. And I still can't believe the numbers that spiked in places like Minneapolis, where Ilhan Omar said we need to do more and get rid of them all to get that's, even though they voted against it, that shows the level of just sycophantic, not caring, just crazy that is running. A lot of the people, especially in the squad, they're actually nuts. You're nuts. We'll bring back respect for people who put their lives on the line to keep us safe. We'll support mandatory strict minimum sentences for all assault involving serious injury or to law enforcement officers, which I can't believe they get rid of in some places. We'll strengthen qualified immunity and legal protections for law enforcement officers to protect them from frivolous lawsuits. And I think, should they be liable in a bunch of instances? Yes, everyone should be. But how stupid some of them have gotten the last couple of years, there's always something that could be tweaked with all of that. Should it completely be there? Yes. But no, but should some of it be there? Yes, because they're just letting so much stupid stuff happen now, like resisting arrest isn't a crime. It's gotten so dumb. We'll demand a nationwide crackdown on theft and violent crime by imposing stiffer penalties so we can restore law and order to our city streets, obviously, because this cashless bail, and look at everything that's happened since George Floyd. It's just ridiculous. And the numbers keep getting up. We keep getting told we're crazy. No, I can read. You're an idiot. Yeah, you're a crazy idiot. I can just read. Like, that doesn't make me anything. Juan William Still, like him laughing in Greg's face when he brought it up, pretty much sums it all up for me. We will force prosecutors to prosecute. At present, many prosecutors in big cities are allowing criminals to go free with no justice, and they are doing it on purpose. Yes, they are. Like, they're doing that. We're not going to go after people for this thing, which is why crimes are going up, and then that escalates it like it always does throughout history. All you got to do is look. We will make it a federal crime for any prosecutor, including the U.S. Department of Justice, to pursue prosecution based on political ideology. There you go. We will eliminate no-knock warrants in any case that does not involve violent crime. There you go. We will increase penalties for spousal abuse and failure to pay child support. I'm okay with that. We will enact Marcy's law, which ensures victims of crimes have rights and constitutional protection equal to those who commit crimes. It's amazing that criminals have it easier in a lot of places than victims. It's terrifying. Like California with Gascon, New York City, like there's a lot of dumb happening, which is just disgusting, really. And we will oppose every attempt to deny our Second Amendment freedoms and will defend our gun rights always at all costs. And yes, there's shootings and all, but I can remember the school, that church in Texas and a bunch of like, what stops mass shootings? Other people, law-abiding people with guns, stopping the crazy criminal people. When the cop, waiting on the cops to get there, like it doesn't take a brain. It takes thinking about that much. Number 4, immigration. And a creak in my chair. Countries have borders. We will control ours and secure it once and for all. That's true. Like Canada, anywhere in Europe, in the Middle East, all these places have borders. And like there's legitimate crimes, and you get sent away, prison time, all kinds of stuff for getting into places illegally. Why are we giving people like processing them? Here's a bus ticket. See you later. Bye. Putting them up in hotels and costing us more money. Like, that is asinine. I'm sorry. That's the nicest way I could put it. That's asinine. No one will enter without our permission. We lock our doors at night, not because we hate the people on the outside, but because we love the people on the inside and we want to keep them safe. Many potential immigrants love America. Those who don't will not be allowed to come here. This is our country, and no one has a right to come to America. True that. We will employ military assets. Yes, I did say that. Okay. On our borders as needed. Border security is not simply a matter of domestic policy, it's a matter of national security. And that goes along, I'm sure he's going to say, and there were drugs and everything else. Human trafficking, like all kinds of stuff. Immigrants will not be eligible to collect unemployment benefits or welfare for the first 7 years after arriving in the U.S. Yes, you should come here, work, earn it, prove you want to be here. We'll stop incentivizing people to come to America to receive government benefits. We have plenty of welfare recipients. We need productive citizens instead. Amen to that. That helps the whole economy, really. We will strip all federal funding from sanctuary cities and prosecute any elected officials who flout our immigration laws, which they should do, which is ridiculous. Like, this is the federal law, and we're giving them federal money to purposely slap us, the law right in the face and say we're not going to do it. I think that's always been wrong because it's actually illegal. But, we will oppose all comprehensive immigration reform measures until we stop the lawlessness on our border and our border is secured. Again, that's where a lot of people, drugs, human trafficking to include children, women, like weapons, like all kinds of things are coming in across that border. Like, just look at the numbers they're collecting, like it's being proven. Like, it's not about race. It's about security for the whole country and stopping drugs and all kinds of stuff. You don't have to be a brain. You just have to look at the numbers. And we oppose cultural segregation. We believe in the melting pot where people from many backgrounds go all in on becoming Americans. One nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. And that's really what it should be. Like, I get people here that want to be here because they want to be here. And they want to work for it, and they want to earn it, and they want the American dream, not just a bunch of handouts. Sorry if you don't like it. I really don't know what else to tell you. I don't know why everyone keeps trying to blow me up and make sure no one's. How hard it is. Like, it's nothing racist or bad about it. Like, we want people here to be here for the right reasons because they want to work in the American dream grow, not just to cost us more money. Sorry. Economy growth. 5. Socialism will be treated as a foreign combatant which aims to destroy our prosperity and freedom. Literally, look at Was it Venezuela? It used to be in like the top 5, 6 in the world. It came to oil wealth, and they switched to socialism, and they were flat broke, and like everyone's starving to death, killing each other in the streets and stuff. Like bad. USSR, bad. All these places that do it, and it's pretty much bad. Capitalism, it's gotten us this far. Why stop? Especially when all the people pushing for socialism have a bunch of houses and jets and sell sweaters for like $100 a pop. They're using capitalism like like an SOB, but they're saying that we should be socialist. That's great because the rich stay rich in those situations, and the poor, well, get to where we all are now because of inflation. Other than essential core functions, government should not be doing anything that the private sector can do better and cheaper. True that. We will apply the do it better test. If American businesses can serve the American people better and cheaper than government, the work goes on them. Depending on what it is, but for the most part, that makes a lot of sense. No government assistance unless you are disabled or aggressively seeking work. You can work, but refuse to work. You cannot live off the hard work and sweat of your fellow Americans. We'll require truth in governing. If government passes a law that does not achieve what it promises, the program will be shut down. That would be a hell of a good change of pace, just shut down all the stupid. We'll balance the federal budget. It can be done. States do it all the time. True that. If Congress does not pass a budget, the members of Congress do not get paid. Full stop. As it should be for not doing their damn jobs like most of the other things they do. It's funny how they still find a way to get paid, but they screw everything else. And no one cares. Like, I'm sorry, they're getting paid. Why should everyone else suffer when they're getting paid when they're the ones not doing it? It's not us not doing anything. So why are we getting screwed? Rude. Other than disaster relief, the federal government must stop spending money on non-essential state and local projects until the budget is balanced. True that. Eliminate truly non-essential government employee positions because they are not essential. True that. Implement the line item veto. It works in state capitals. It will work in Washington. Expedite all federal permit applications to be granted or denied within 30 days. That'd be great. All Americans should pay some income tax to have skin in the game, even if a small amount. Currently, over half of Americans pay no income tax. It is true. Some people are in the VA, though. Earn that from being blown to pieces. So, sorry, there's some people I think should not be touched in that. Because, they can't sleep at night and migraines and jitters and swelling and pain. I think they earned not paying income tax on that. So you should probably leave them alone. Prohibit debt ceiling increases absent of declaration of war. There we go. Last but not least on this, runner that I'm on, number 6, government reform and debt. There's a lot of good ones in here too. Like really a lot of simple stuff. Again, if you ever want it, I could send it to you. Like it really is simple. I could try to post the link somehow. A show, but like there's some good stuff here. Enact term limits for the Washington ruling class, 12-year limits for Congress and government bureaucrats, exceptions for national security reasons only. Begin paying down debt. Debt equals politicians stealing from our future and stealing from all of us right now with inflation. True that. Forbid politicians from becoming lobbyists and cashing in on their public service. I agree with that. Eliminate federal programs that could be done locally. Any government function that could be handled locally should be, because they actually are right there and see the problem locally and deal with it all the time. Locally. Move most government agencies out of Washington into the real world. So they can actually see the real world. They're not just up there in the big ivory towers, not actually seeing anything, because most of them are so out of touch it hurts, and we all see that. Sell off all non-essential government assets, buildings, and land, and use the proceeds to pay down our national debt. Makes sense. All federal legislation sunsets in 5 years. If a law is worth keeping, Congress can pass it again. I agree with that. All government bids and contracts should be publicly available on the internet. There you go. If government fails to comply with the law, citizens must have the right to sue to force them to comply. I agree with that in most instances. No government employees can make more than 5 times the national median individual income. There you go. So they're literally getting rich while everyone else is suffering. I've always had a problem with that, regardless of who it is. We will bar the federal government from using your tax dollars for advertising campaigns. Yep, because right now you tax, the code for all that is just sketchy. Let's just leave it at that, not get into any boring details of that, but it is sketchy to say the least in some things. We will drastically simplify the tax code and eliminate the advantage of those who can afford tax lawyers and lobbyists. There you go. We will immediately cut IRS funding and workforce by 50% because they just added so many. It's like astronomical. And they say they're going after the 1%. Well, you don't need that many to go after the top 1%. That's why now if you sell something on marketplace and stuff, like you literally get the, hey, watch out. Because the government now sees everything, wants a piece of everything. You're just like cutting grass or something. Like it's just, they already taxed you on by like a lot of them don't like do anything, and a lot of it's just spying on good people, and they just hired a lot since Biden got in, so I'm okay with that. We will allow veterans to choose how they access healthcare, either through the VA or private providers, whichever they prefer. Thank God. Let's get back to that because VA was starting to get decent. Not as much here recently, at least where I am, but we were getting there, so we can actually get it somewhere good and force Congress to issue a report every year telling the public what they plan to do when Social Security and Medicare go bankrupt. As well, really sadly, I mean, they're on their way there. Well, the people that paid into it aren't going to get anything because idiots running the country blew all their money on other stuff like illegals and all kinds of stuff they didn't need to. And, you know, it really is terrifying and mesmerizing because those people that are doing that are giving themselves pay raises every year, like astronomical ones, and have all this money, but they're shafting you. You know, they're taking your money and fisting it away, but giving themselves raises with the same said money. So then you're screwed after they're making, like, after working your whole life, and they're not because of their retirement and everything. Like, it really is astronomical. But I mean, who doesn't want to fix, you know, the debt and ways to get rid of it, the economy, immigration, you know, the crime situation, which is exploding no matter what the hell you say, all the CRT and color blindness and education to get that back going, like when we used to actually dominate the world. Like, what the hell is wrong with wanting to do any of those things? I don't understand how anyone could be against any of those things. Like, those are all really good things. Like, you know, they should be under control. And anyone that tries to say they are under control right now, apparently, they probably tell you to turn on Fox News, even though they don't turn off any of their own idiocy. They don't read any of the bills. They don't do anything. But when they say that, like, they can't tell you what everyone's doing good, like on that side. But, you know, they're still defending it to a T no matter how much bad stuff happens. And they can say whatever they want about people on the right and Trump supporters and voters. Like, we still talked so much trash about him. It's unbelievable for all the dumb stuff he did and said. Like, we were all right there. They're talking trash. Like, we did call him out. Like, and these people, like, but then these people can't say anything bad about him. Even when really bad things happened, they defended Afghanistan, the border, Russia. Well, you did exactly what a president should do. Actually, no, this is terrible leadership. Like, we're missing all kinds of stuff between rockets from our like enemies, like hypersonic stuff that could travel the globe. Like, there's just so much bad stuff, and nothing they can do. Like, apparently, will ever wake them up. But this plan, like at least one through, like what I've gone over so far, is really good. Like, there's a lot of good stuff, and there's some stuff in there where you go, you know, yes, but is there a lot of good stuff in there? Yes. Well, you know, get us back in the right track. Yes. And, you know, again, there's a lot of good stuff in there. Like, immigration needs to be fixed. Crime needs to be fixed. Our education that's completely abysmal needs to be fixed. Like, there's so many things in there that need to be fixed. And they can actually do it. Like, you know, if we actually get the right people in there to do it, hell, follow a lot of this plan, grow a set. And again, it comes down to, like, it's just stupid. Like, I mean, literally, they should have to tell everyone, like, where all the money is going from Medicare, Social Security, and all that. Like, with everyone's retirement, all the old people have been paying in forever, and there is nothing. Like, these people that are giving themselves raises with that money, they're still going to get their retirement, and they're making a lot more than you are. And they take care of themselves, but they don't take care of anyone else. Like, that's been something. And they always tried to say that we're trying to kill your grandmother and all that stuff. Like, that's the only thing they ever know how to do, even though they're spending all this money, which is literally draining it as we speak. But it's a crazy world, lots of idiots, you know, nothing we can do about it, sadly, until after the elections. And if we get it back, people on the right do. And they really need to step up in that amount of time and start getting things, you know, going, build, you know, even more momentum than they have going right now, because a lot of us don't like what's going on. I even know some people on the left that really aren't happy with a lot of the stuff that's been happening. Because at least they have eyes. I don't know how people support all of it. They're all crazy. Like they really are just that ignorant and live in their own little bubble. I live in my own little bubble, but I'm not ignorant to everything going on around me, and how the world actually works. But there's people out there like that. And, we got to do what we can to change their minds and educate them. And that's going to be the only thing that, really does any of it. Now, just educate them and get them, going. Like, I don't know how, but you can't get through with some of them, which you're never going to change your mind, no matter how many stats, facts, everything you have to prove them wrong. They're still never going to change, which is really why we are where we are, because there's nothing you can do about those people. They will literally yell at me until they're blue in the face. And I'm like, do you have any proof? Okay, guy, but nice talk. You're the one getting all angry. Like, bro, like, you're the one that just blew up on me. Like, I'm just sitting here saying, like, that's been disproven. Here's the facts. And I send them the facts, and they're still like nuclear. I'm crazy. And it's coming from people on your side, even that are doing all these investigations that are coming up with this stuff. So, I don't know if we'll ever get them on our side, but a lot of people are starting to turn. I think this is a hell of a start to it. So, I'm going to jump off here for now on this, though, but stew on that. And if you want it, let me know. I can try to send you, I'll send you the file. I'm not going to put it in anywhere for anyone to see until after I publish everything, until I do everything on Friday and get it over, so you can then see the whole thing and not get a jump start, even though you could search it yourself. But I do have the file. I'll be ready to give it to you then. Don't forget to share it out. On all the platforms, where you have social media, you have stuff, you can share it to those things. And it helps me out. Don't forget the TikTok videos too for the previews. Like those are there. Not a fan of, big fan of TikTok, but, gets the preview and gets it on more eyes. But again, share everything out, follow along on all the platforms. Please, please, please share it out and get more people involved in listening. The more we grow this, the more fun it is, the better it is. If you ever want to come on here, let me know. No problem talking to anyone, as long as it'll be a conversation, but I'll be back Friday with the other half of this. So be good to each other. Enjoy the rest of your week. And until Friday, my friends. Peace.